Mhm.
Could you please dwell more into the blue economy in India, of India, its length and breadth and the opportunities? We'll talk about the challenges later, but
Yes.
let's just understand the opportunities to drive the Indian economy as far as blue economy is concerned.
Blue economy has got some quite significant components.
Sure.
So the tangibles are ones that we know of, like shipping and navigation, or ports and harbors, or resources, living and non-living resources, energy resources, mineral resources, and so on. We also have just talked about waste disposal. Then we have got strategic uses, navy, but leisure and tourism, pipelines and cables. And then there are some intangible ones, which are things like marine scientific research, biodiversity conservation, habitat management, climate control, which I mentioned, and then of course there are also what we call as illegal uses of the ocean. And then of course the most important, as far as I'm concerned, is education and training. You mentioned in your introduction that our coastline is 7,520 kilometers, and our land frontier is almost more than double of it, 15,200 square kilometers. We as a coastal state, if you go 200 miles, nautical miles out from our coast, then all that area becomes India's exclusive economic zone. And we have got 2.37 million kilometers of it. And the land area of India is 3.27 square kilometers, which means we are almost 2/3 of our land area is our exclusive economic zone. So it is a huge area which is under our control and on which we have full economic sovereignty. Then on top of that, the law of the sea also gives you continental shelf. So continental shelf can be extended beyond the exclusive economic zone sometimes, depending on how far your rocks have progressed into the shelf. So as a result of that, totally from the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal, what we call as the western and the eastern continental shelf of India, we have another 700,000 square kilometers. Wow. So if you take this together, you are almost getting the same area as the land area of India in your ocean. And we have also got, to add to this, we have got navigable waterways. That means the waterways that are within India, within the land of India, freshwater river navigation, as we call it. And that is up to 15,000 kilometers. So this is feeding into the ocean. So there is a connection between what we do on the land and what we do in the sea. As I've said, because all the waste goes through the sea, it goes through the rivers. So similarly, transportation also can go from rivers up to the sea mouth and up to the seaports. Boundaries. We have got maritime boundaries with Bangladesh, Indonesia, Maldives, Myanmar, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. We have got 12 ports in India, 12 major ports. Total goods handled by all 12 of our major ports is 700 million tons per year. Now, just to put it in perspective, this is exceeded by Shanghai alone or Singapore alone.
I see.
So these two ports alone do much more than 700 million tons per year.
Okay.
And Rotterdam, which is the 11th port in the world, is not too far behind 700 million tons. So there's a lot more we can do. Shipyards, we have got 21 shipyards, small and big. We have got 43 shipping companies, again, small and big. Number of ships is 1,500 compared to worldwide ships of 55,000. That's the number in the world. Very small number comparatively. And our gross registered tonnage is 12.69 millions, about 13 million tons, compared to 2 billion tons worldwide. Is that we have what is called as the Indian Register of Shipping. So something that most countries don't have. Only big countries have it, like the United States or the UK or Germany.